Hi folks, Loki the Scottish rapper here. Some quick thoughts on a document that has just been published online by, let me just tell you exactly who it's by. The Architects for Social Housing.wordpress.com have just published an extensive report titled The Truth About Grenfell Tower. It's a report by Architects for Social Housing. And in it, they outline not just the cause of the fire, but also some of the political context surrounding it. The key thing that jumps out at you when you begin to wade through it is the decision to modify the building. So the decision to modify the building and therefore put the cladding on the building, the cladding which has led to the spread of the fire. Obviously, the building was designed with specific fire safety procedures. They had been contested as far back as 2013. When the cladding was added, the fire procedures were not looked at again. Ultimately, by modifying one aspect of a building, then you modify the whole building, and everything about the building needs to be looked at again. So you have to always be looking at it holistically. The cladding in itself was such that it had a flammable substance in between two metal sheets. Therefore, once the fire gets inside, you can't actually extinguish it using the usual means that a fire service would deploy in order to tackle a fire of this magnitude. So not only were there issues around fire engines being sent there that didn't have high enough ladders to get up the building, but also it was almost impossible to try and address the fire in the traditional manner because there was a sort of chimney effect where the fire was rising up through the building internally. But to bring it back to the cladding itself, the cladding was added. If we look at the 2014 planning report, planning application for the cladding, this is before the cladding was approved, then what we see is the following, and I quote, "The materials proposed will provide the building with a fresh appearance that will not be harmful to the area or views around it. Due to its height, the tower is visible from the adjacent Avondale Conservation Area to the south and the Ladbroke Conservation Area to the east. The changes to the existing tower will improve its appearance, especially when viewed from the surrounding area. Therefore, views into and out of the conservation areas will be improved by the proposals." So there you have it, folks. The planning application itself reveals that a primary concern of the people that were charged with regenerating the area was that it didn't look as unsightly to people in the surrounding areas, which, as we know, are far more affluent. So this confirms gentrification as a proximate cause. The cladding, as admitted even by people who aren't yet willing to accept that Grenfell is a socially deprived area, who aren't yet willing to accept that there's a wider political context of political exclusion and poverty at play here, even those people accept that the cladding was highly flammable and will reveal itself to have been the sort of main catalyst for the fire. So by walking that back and seeing where did the cladding come from, what is the decision that led to the cladding, then we see that one of the primary factors in this being allowed to happen was that the building was not nice enough for the people that lived in the more affluent areas. So we understand that now. We can see that. We already know that that's the case. People in Grenfell could have told you that anyway. They've been complaining about fire safety in the building since 2013. People still continue to talk over them, but the more evidence that comes out, the more we see the people in Grenfell had an idea of what was actually going on. They looked paranoid the day that the fire happened. They were screaming, they were outraged. They were saying this building was changed so that it looked nicer to the people who live in the nicer area. And we thought, oh, those poor folk, those poor folk are so traumatised, but they don't have a clue. It turns out they do have a clue. It turns out that gentrification is partly in the mix here, that the cladding is universally agreed to have been highly flammable, and that the way that it was applied to this building meant that the building did no longer meet safety regulations. So I would urge you to go and look at this report yourselves. I will include it in the link below. Obviously, I'm going to spend a bit of time going through it further. I would hope to see journalists in the mainstream media that were obviously very interested in the subject going through the report forensically and trying to find out more about how this happened in the first place, and more importantly, how we can make sure it doesn't happen again. It seems like the government-sanctioned inquiry is not going to have the sufficient scope to bring out some of the nuance that might be conducive to really understanding the wider circumstances of this tragedy. So I'll put the link below. I hope you have a look at it. Feel free to leave some comments and also hit the subscribe button. Take it easy.